And welcome back to another episode of Casey Campbell's Videocast. Of course, I'm Casey Campbell from Great Lakes Post. Thank you for joining us for another episode. And joining us right now is the head coach of the Oakland men's basketball team, Mr. Greg Kampe. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Casey. Right now, there's not much to do, so anything like this is great, just to be able to do something instead of stare at the TV or a telephone or game film, you know.
Yeah. I know you're trying to get the pieces together for next season. I know you have some incoming recruits in there. How's your upcoming class going with that?
Well, we went into the spring recruiting with 4 scholarships, and then the C-19 hit us, and the quarantine and everything, and the NCAA came in and said you can't recruit, you can't go on the road, you can't do anything except video, or like we're doing right now. And this put us in a mad scramble on how do we recruit. And through a lot of meetings and phone conversations, we came up with some ideas, like every other staff in the country did, to go virtual. We put a virtual tour of the campus together. We kind of put this thing where you open the door and you walk into the arena and there's a full, and just tried to make it as impressive as we could, because we're never going to get the kid on campus. And we've kind of struck gold with it. I mean, we're really excited. We've got 3 kids that have signed during this time, and they're 3 really good players, and they really meet our needs, and we're ecstatic about it. We're really happy.
Coming into the recruiting period, how different has it been? Not for just you, but for the kids in general. They can't come to the visit, they can't meet with you face to face. What are some of the challenges with that you're going through?
Well, I think that a lot of the kids out there, the joy and the fun of recruiting is the visits. They get on an airplane and fly somewhere with their family or their parents, and they get there and they spend 48 hours on your cancer. And obviously we treat them like kings during those 48 hours. We try and show them what life is at the school. Many of them would go on 4 or 5 visits and then make your choice based on how they felt at the school, how they felt when they met the other players, how they felt with the coaches, face to face. Did they like the facilities? Do they like the arena? Do they like the uniforms? Are you a Nike school? Are you, who knows why they make their decisions, but the fun for them is to be able to do that. So that was taken away from this recruiting class. And so we had to find how can we get to them? How can we get to their parents? This is a whole new world. So, and that's what I think every coaching staff in the country was tested with. And I think some people did it good, some people maybe not as good. And the results are going to be interesting. A year from now, when you see whose recruiting class is doing the best, you'll know who did the best job in the video era.
Yeah. How have you kind of adjusted to this, with Zoom, with all these new platforms, Google Meet as well? How are you adjusting to all this? And did it take you a while to learn all this?
Well, I didn't know anything. Okay. I knew I'd just gotten pretty good on my iPhone.
Yeah.
And but moving that over to a computer and doing all the stuff. I got a bunch of friends and we play cards, we found some apps where we're actually playing cards with each other on the iPad. So it's been quite a learning experience. And it's been kind of fun in that, I didn't know all this stuff a month ago. And now I feel like when I first did Zoom, I had to make about 6 phone calls to get on. And today I just came over here and did it, and here we are. So I'm learning.
Yeah. You talk about playing cards, and how's that been? I mean, I know there's always been like World Poker Tour and all that, but how fun is it playing cards on the internet?
Well, I'd never done it before, but a group of media guys that I know, I was talking to one of them about one of my recruits, and he goes, "Hey, I got to go. I'm playing poker." I go, "You're playing poker? What about social distancing?" He goes, "No, we're a group of us get online and play." He goes, "You want to play?" And I go, "Yeah, I'll play." So, the last time we played, there were 24 people in the game. It was fun, and it lasted 2 or 3 hours, so it took some time, and it's weird, but it was fun.
you've always had matchups with Michigan State over the years. What's been the most memorable for you heading with that series between you and Tom?
Well, it's very important to Oakland University that series. You know, we've got 5 years left on the contract. Um, so the key to it for me is in recruiting, especially in the state of Michigan. You're going to play Michigan State every year you're at Oakland. We can use that in recruiting. It's the big stage. They're the gold standard of, not just in Michigan in college basketball. They're the blue blood. You know, they're a top 5, 6 program in the country, and we get to play them and compete with them every year. We get to do it on a neutral floor every other year, which we get as our home game. Although, like when we played at Little Caesars last year, there were 20,000 people at it. There were probably 8,000 Oakland fans and 14,000. I guess that'd be 22, but my math's never been very good, Casey. Um, so that in itself, of being on the big stage in the state of Michigan, that happens every year. The fact that it helps us in recruiting happens. And then when we compete against Michigan State and play well, the perception of our program is risen. And so it's an important day every year for us. And I'm just so fortunate that Tom continues to play the game. I think it's a really good game for them too, because many of the games have been competitive, and it gets a lot of media attention. And the neutral site game at Little Caesars, they want to play there because the NCAA tournament every few years is held there. And so, I think it's actually coming back this year at Little Caesars. So, it's a win-win for both programs, but it's a big win for us.
When you look at playing games in Little Caesars Arena, I was at the first one back when they had Michigan, Detroit, and all that. What did that do to the state and to that arena as well, to have all 4 of the biggest basketball teams beside in Detroit, Oakland, Michigan State, and then what did that do to the city and this series rivalries?
I think it opened up college basketball in the Detroit area in that, there were the Oakland Michigan State game that was the second game of the doubleheader is still the largest crowd in Little Caesars history.
Yeah.
And, Michigan State, I think, was ranked 2nd or 3rd in the country. It was a great basketball game. Kendrick Nunn for us went off, had 30-some points. There were 3 or 4 NBA players in that game. And I think it just, for the normal fan of basketball, wow, right here in Detroit, look at this, 20,000 people in the thing. The game's a nip and tuck game. There's great athletes, great players playing. Kendrick Nunn might be the rookie of the year in the NBA. Jaren Jackson, has been unbelievable with Memphis. And so they got to watch that close live up for the first time in college basketball in Detroit in a long, long time. And so I think it opened the door for a lot more games. And, we also, we had our Horizon League tournament there, which was really good too. And I'm hoping someday we'll be able to get that back.
Yeah, that was leading into my next question. When the Horizon League tournament left this year, I think this was the first year that it wasn't in Detroit. How different was it?
Well, it was disappointing to me that it left because I believe personally that, we had a really great run for a couple years there, and we had teams that could win the championship, and we did win the regular season championship, and we got in that tournament, and we didn't handle the pressure of the tournament very well, and we had 3 straight 1 possession losses where the ball went in at the buzzer to either win. We had 2 of them, the ball went in to beat us, and the other one we had the shot and it didn't go in. And I feel like we had something to do with it, not because if we'd have gotten that championship game in those, there'd have been 12, 14,000 people at those games. I think it would have stayed here. But unfortunately, when it all first came down that the Horizon League was going to be at Little Caesars Arena, the Pistons were still going to be at the Palace. And so, so when the Pistons left the Palace and came to Little Caesars, it shortened the window of opportunity in dates. And, now for our tournament, you were having to give away a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, 5 days. and they couldn't do that anymore. If it had just been the Red Wings, they could have done that. So that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah. What has been, I don't know if you talked to your other college basketball coaches, how are they all handling everything with all this?
Well, I think we're all scrambling, trying to figure it out. You got to be careful and politically correct. You can't say things like, this or that, because, the reality of it is people are dying, and basketball and that is got to take a back seat to this. The fact that tournament was canceled and that sure that killed their kids and it killed a lot of people, but there's a big difference of having your dreams killed and losing your lives. And we have to be very careful. We have to be politically correct, and we have to follow along and do what we're told to do like everybody else. But I think there's going to be some collateral damage from this into the athletics. And I think you're going to see schools are going to lose lots of money. You're going to see I read yesterday Urbana University in Ohio is closing. Yeah. And I think you're going to see a bunch of schools like that. The Rochester Colleges of the world, the Spring Arbors, and I'm not saying they're going to close, but schools like that, I think you're going to see them really struggle. I think you're going to see major budget cuts from Michigan all the way down to Oakland. I think you're going to see major budget cuts, and it's going to change a lot on the landscape of college athletics.
Yeah, you saw yesterday Boise State furloughed a bunch of coaches. Louisville's planning on furloughing a bunch of staff. Do you think that this could really, how damaging do you think possibly this could be heading into the next few years?
Well, it's gonna be damaging for sure. It's going to change things. You're going to have to adapt, or you're not going to survive. I mean, you're going to have to cut the fat. I'm sure that at Oakland that we've already discussed our budget cuts, and we're looking at a 10% cut in our operation budget. We're looking at, we haven't heard yet on a salary cut, but my guess is that there'll be, a 1 or 2% cut in everybody's salary on campus. I mean, if you cut everybody 2% of your salary, you're probably going to save, $2 to $5 million, I would guess, and right now universities are looking at losses between 10 and 30 million dollars. Many, if this, I'm reading this, these aren't my numbers. It's just things that I've read because I'm concerned about it. Yeah. And if you've got a $30 million shortfall at your university, what are you going to do? It's not like the government's just going to reach out and here's 30 million. Let's get this thing going again, because they're doing with all the government's doing. There isn't going to be enough to go around. And so how are you going to adapt to it? You're going to have smaller budget, smaller staff, smaller size. And then the big thing is, our whole revenue structure at Oakland is men's basketball, gate sales for our games, and, guarantee games and things like that. If people can't come and watch, it's just not the people that go through the turnstile. It's people aren't buying the ads. They're not going to buy a sign. They're not going to put a thing in the program. They're not going to put a thing, they're not going to give you money when they're not going to get anything out of it. So you're not just losing your gate, you're losing all your advertisement, all the money that you have to raise to make your programs go. So those are the big concerns.
Yeah. When sports do come back, and they will come back, do you think people will have a bigger appreciation for when they do come back?
I think it's going to hit both ways. And I've thought about that a lot. I think somebody like me and my family and my boys and people that live and breathe and die sports, we're just waiting for it to come back. Please come back. But you've got the average fan out there that, not average, but maybe the casual fan that, oh man, I can't believe we didn't have that, but now I've found other things. Yeah. And, maybe they won't come back. I don't know. That's going to be a big, is that casual fan that did it because it was always there.
Yeah.
Now it's got moved on to other things. Like maybe they're out riding their bike on a Sunday and they're not going to watch football. Who knows what's going to come with that?
Yeah. Well, Coach, thank you so much for coming on, and always a pleasure talking with you. And good luck, and hang in there and stay safe.
Yeah, you too. And hopefully, I really hope that, 2, 3 weeks from now, we'll be back. We get that curve going the right way, and we can get back to our office and slowly get this thing back going in the right direction.
All right, we'd all like that. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.